please. Maybe you could tell them about how you read to your baby. She mentioned that as well.
What I want to do is help all the saints in the Philippines know that we had rambunctious, sometimes obnoxious sons, just like you do. And people look at Sister Bednar and me and say, oh, I'm sure their sons were perfect. No, they were not perfect. Many times they were awful. They would go to early morning seminary, and one of them really had a hard time getting up early for early morning seminary. And Susan and I, he had his own alarm clock. We said, you got to get out of bed. He would wait to the very last possible second to get out of bed. He would dress in his clothing, sleep in it, so he could stay in his bed, just get out and go. And he was so grumpy every morning. I'd say, I'm not getting him up, you go get him. It's your turn.
I'd say, I'm not getting him up, you go get him. And so we would argue back and forth about whose turn it was to go get him up.
So we would have our scripture reading early in the morning, and we would do home evening, all the things you're supposed to do. I think Susan and I both would have said at some point, there's absolutely no point in doing this. These three boys would have their T-shirts pulled up over their heads. They would be on the ground. They'd be poking each other. Stop looking at me. You're breathing my air. Stop it. And we say, can we just stop that long enough to finish this chapter in the Book of Mormon? And then they'd start fighting and punching and on and on and on. Now, I tell you that because we're just like you. Your kids are just like ours. We don't have some advantage because of an office in the church. The issue is consistency. I don't think any of those boys learned a lot in any one session of studying the scriptures or talking about the gospel. I don't think they would tell you today, oh, this one time, that's what did it. It's the fact that we always tried to do it. That's what they will remember today. They're now 46, 44, and 40. And you know what I've prayed for all my life? I shouldn't say this in a broadcast like this.
Well, then don't say
No,
it.
I've prayed that their children would be as rotten to them as they were to us. So now we have 19 grandchildren, and we go to their homes to visit, and we're there as they have their family scripture study, and their children have their shirts up over their heads, and they're on the floor, and they're, stop looking at me. And I just smile and say, oh, God answered my prayers. But you know what they do? They always do it. Now, they miss, but they are really consistent. Be not weary in well-doing, for ye are laying the foundation of a great work, and out of small things proceedeth that which is great. So if you're a parent and you have regular children, you're going to be frustrated, but do it. Don't make them, don't demand it. Make it so, even though they don't look like they're paying attention, they want to be there. They want to be there. And it will have an impact you can't imagine. Did I get that right? Is that okay?